Nancy Guthrie, the mother of Today Show co-host Savannah Guthrie, was reported missing. The 84-year-old was last seen at her home outside of Tucson on the night of January 31st. She was reported missing the next day. Authorities believe she was kidnapped, abducted, or otherwise taken against her will. In the past month, there's been little movement in the case, with seemingly no viable leads for investigators, leaving many unanswered questions about her disappearance.
Nancy Guthrie was 84 years old when she disappeared. Not a teenager, not a young adult. An 84-year-old woman who had lived a full life, built a family, and by every reasonable expectation should have been spending her final years in comfort and familiarity. Instead, she vanished. No warning, no clear explanation, no satisfying answer that gave her family any kind of peace. And what makes this case stand apart from the hundreds of missing persons cases that get covered and forgotten every year is not just that she disappeared. It is what happened and what did not happen in the investigation that followed. Because the answer was never truly out of reach. The clues were present from the beginning. The signals were there. The pattern was visible. What was missing was not evidence. What was missing was someone willing to stop, go back to the very beginning, and ask whether everything that had been accepted as fact was actually true. That person eventually showed up. His name is Brian Entin. And what he found when he returned to this case changed the entire shape of the story. If you are the kind of person who wants the full picture on cases like this, not just the headlines, not just the surface details, but the actual investigative breakdown, subscribe to this channel right now. We go deep on cases where the official version and the real version are not the same thing. Hit subscribe and the bell so you never miss an upload. Nancy Guthrie was 84 years old. That number matters more than it might seem at first. When we think about missing persons cases, we tend to picture certain types of victims. Young people. People whose disappearance fits a familiar narrative that the media knows how to package and the public knows how to process. An 84-year-old woman does not fit that template. And because she doesn't fit it, her case was handled differently from the start. Covered, yes, but never with the sustained urgency that a younger victim might have received. She was a woman embedded in a community. She had routines. She had people around her. She was not, by any visible measure, someone living in obvious danger. And that is precisely what made her disappearance so difficult to explain and so easy for the public to eventually set aside. When she went missing, the response was immediate. Local news picked it up. Investigative programs began pulling at threads. The community was engaged, following updates, sharing information, hoping for a development that would close the story quickly and cleanly. That development never came. What came instead was the slow withdrawal of attention. One by one, the cameras left. The daily updates stopped. The news cycle absorbed something newer and moved on. And Nancy Guthrie's case, still unsolved, still open, still without a single confirmed answer, quietly moved to the back of the line. For her family, that transition was not quiet at all. It was the moment the world stopped caring about something they could not stop thinking about. It was the moment they realized that without public pressure, without consistent coverage, without someone keeping the question alive, the investigation would slow. Cases without momentum tend to stay still.
At Nancy Guthrie's house here. Some updates this morning. This is something that we reported over the weekend, but now NBC News is also reporting. They say they have 3 law enforcement sources who are emphasizing that the case has not gone cold.
You know, I reported a couple of hours ago that they are using polygraphs to clear people in the case. And I've known about this for quite some time, but was waiting to report.
Which also brings much suspicion around the lady we still have not found. The lady that is still at large, Nancy Guthrie, is still at large. We have no idea what happened to Miss Nancy.
They are asking the person that is responsible for this that they are ready to listen, but it's on one condition, saying that they need proof of life, because in the day and age of AI, pictures and videos, these things can be faked.
And for a long time, this one did. Brian Entin is not the kind of journalist who shows up when a story is at its loudest. He is not drawn to the chaos of the early days, when every outlet is covering the same details and every report sounds like the one before it. He does not build his work around being first. He builds it around being thorough. And those are two very different things. What Entin does, and what makes his approach consistently produce results in cases that others have written off, is return. He comes back to stories after the noise has died down. after the pressure is gone, after the case has lost its place in the daily news cycle, and the people closest to it have had to learn to live with silence. He returned to Nancy Guthrie's case, not because a new witness had appeared, not because physical evidence had surfaced that changed the landscape of the investigation. He returned because he had a specific belief, a belief that something had been overlooked, not hidden deliberately, not buried under corruption or incompetence, but simply missed, passed over in the rush of the early investigation when everyone was focused on moving fast rather than moving carefully. And the first thing he did when he came back was something that sounds straightforward, but is actually one of the hardest things to do in any investigation. He stopped asking who. Most investigations, from the moment they open, are organized around a single driving question. Who did this? It feels like the right question. It feels direct and logical and efficient. But embedded in that question is a major assumption. The assumption that everything else about the story is already understood correctly, that the timeline is accurate, that the sequence of events has been properly established, that the only missing piece is a name. Brian Entin did not make that assumption. Instead, he asked something more fundamental. He asked whether the story, as it had been told, actually made sense, whether the details that had been accepted as fact had ever truly been tested, whether the framework everyone was working inside was solid enough to build on. When he started pulling at those threads, things began to shift. The first thing that stood out to Entin when he reviewed the case was not a piece of physical evidence. It was not a witness statement or a gap in the official record. It was a feeling specific enough to be worth following, that something about the sequence of events was wrong. Not wrong because it was chaotic. Wrong because it was the opposite. Every step in the timeline lined up. The actions were sequential and ordered. The timing was precise. There were no significant delays, no visible moments of panic, no evidence of impulsive or reactive decision-making. Everything that happened in the right order at the right time with no friction. On the surface, that sounds like it should be reassuring. Clarity in a timeline feels like useful information. But for someone with experience in investigative work, that kind of clarity raises an immediate question. Real events, especially serious and stressful ones, do not unfold this smoothly. When something unexpected happens, people do not perform perfectly. They hesitate. They react before thinking. They make decisions that don't hold up under pressure. Plans, when they exist at all, fall apart at the edges. There are always mistakes. There are always moments where the timeline gets messy, where the sequence gets disrupted, where something doesn't line up the way it was supposed to. That is what reality looks like. Imperfect, unpredictable, slightly broken at the seams. Warren was looking at had none of that. No friction, no visible errors, no signs of a plan going sideways. Just a clean, orderly sequence from beginning to end. In investigative practice, that kind of perfection is not a sign of innocence. It is a sign of preparation. When a sequence of events unfolds with no meaningful chaos, it is very likely because it was rehearsed, because the person responsible had already walked through it, already accounted for the variables, already decided what to do at each step before the step arrived. This was not a reaction. It was an execution. And that distinction between something that happened and something that was carried out changes every other question that follows. We're just getting into the core of what Entin found. Stay with us, and if you haven't subscribed yet, do it now. The cases we cover go this deep every single time. Subscribe and turn on notifications so you're here for every upload. Once Entin established that the event itself had the profile of something planned rather than spontaneous, his attention shifted backward, not to the night Nancy Guthrie disappeared, to the days before. This is a phase of investigation that gets under-examined in most cases. Everyone focuses on the event, on what happened in the hours immediately surrounding the disappearance. The days before tend to get treated as background, normal life, nothing significant, nothing worth examining closely. And it did not treat them that way. He went back through accounts from the community. He looked at what people remembered noticing in the period leading up to Nancy's disappearance. And he started finding things. A vehicle appearing in the same location multiple times over several days. And beyond that, social silence takes hold in communities when a situation remains unresolved. when the person responsible has not been publicly identified, when the outcome of speaking is unclear.
It's Monica Garcia here. We're outside the Pima County Sheriff's Department with breaking news. The sheriff telling us investigators believe that 84-year-old Nancy Guthrie was abducted or possibly kidnapped from her home. Her home is in the Catalina foothills, and they do say that evidence found at that house led detectives to that conclusion, escalating this into a possible foul play investigation. The sheriff is urging anyone with information right now, no matter how small they say, to come forward. If you know something, you're asked to call the Pima County Sheriff's Department or 88-CRIME or even 911.
I want to show you what's been happening right here behind me. You can see these are FBI agents. They've been searching the area near Nancy Guthrie's home for the past 10 or 15 minutes.
Hi there. I'm coming on to say it is day 24 since our mom was taken in the dark of night from her bed. And every hour and minute and second and every long night has been agony since then of worrying about her, fearing for her, aching for her, and most of all, just missing her.
Okay, I'm back outside of Nancy Guthrie's home right now, and just a little bit ago, federal agents were here yet again searching the home, and this time our team that was here saw the detectives coming inside the house with a large stick, and then some of the video that people were taking from over the house, people could see those detectives in the backyard using that stick to search deep into some kind of hole in the backyard, like a manhole. It could be that it was part of the septic system. We don't exactly know what they're looking for, but all of this, we're told, is just part of the normal course of the investigation. Some people have asked about that search last night at Annie's home, Nancy's daughter's home, and we are told that, again, that is just part of the routine course of this investigation.
About things that don't happen. Social silence forms around something real, something unresolved, something that people are still carrying, something that has not yet been made safe to speak about openly. The silence in Nancy Guthrie's community told him that the story was not over, that there were still pieces in people's memories that had never made it into the official record, and that somewhere in the gap between what people knew and what people had said, part of the answer was still real. When you place everything Entin identified side by side, what looked like a collection of disconnected observations becomes something with a clear shape. Pre-event surveillance over multiple days, a vehicle returning to the same location without explanation, a presence in the neighborhood that multiple people independently registered as out of place, a timeline during the disappearance itself that was too ordered, too clean, too free of the kind of chaos that marks unplanned events, camera behavior that reflected prior knowledge of the space, and a community that, even after held back in conversation when certain details came close to the surface. None of these elements, standing alone, closes a case. Individual observations can be challenged. Individual feelings can be dismissed. But this is not a single observation. It is a layered pattern built from multiple independent sources, pointing in the same direction. That pattern has a profile. Advanced observation of the target location. Repeated visits to understand access, timing, and visibility. Controlled execution with no visible panic or improvisation. Behavioral awareness of surveillance infrastructure. Community detection of an anomalous presence that was never formally reported. And post-event social silence, suggesting that knowledge exists in the community that has not been fully spoken. This is not the profile of something random. It is the profile of something constructed, thought through in advance, prepared carefully, and carried out with enough control to minimize visible disruption. Nancy Guthrie did not disappear because of chance. The evidence points clearly toward intent, toward planning, toward a deliberate act carried out by someone who gave themselves time to prepare and use that time well. Nancy Guthrie is still missing. No arrest, no confirmed explanation, no resolution that has given her family the ability to move forward with any certainty about what happened to her. The investigation remains open. The questions remain unanswered. what Brian Entin's work contributed to this case was not a final answer.
I told him, they're going in and out of my house, taking a lot of pictures and everything. I mean, like I told him, we're not hiding.
I just wanted to come on and say that we still have hope and we still believe.
Immediate arrest. It matters because it changes what investigators are looking for, where they look, and what they treat as relevant. A case examined from a new angle is a case that has a better chance of moving forward than one that has been stalled in the same position for months or years. For Nancy Guthrie's family, the investigation continuing to move is not closure, but it is not nothing either. It means the question is still being asked. It means someone is still looking. And in cases like this one, that distinction between a case that is truly cold and a case that is simply quiet could be the difference between an answer eventually arriving and an answer never coming at all. Nancy Guthrie was 84, and her case is a direct reminder that older adults can be specifically targeted, not at random, but deliberately by someone who has studied their routines, identified their patterns, and selected them with care. That is an uncomfortable thing to sit with. But sitting with it is more useful than looking away from it. If you have an elderly parent, grandparent, neighbor, or anyone in your life who lives alone or with limited daily contact with others, pay attention. Consistent check-ins matter. Knowing who has access to their space matters. Being familiar enough with their normal routine that a disruption is immediately noticeable, that matters too. The instinct that multiple people in Nancy Guthrie's neighborhood felt and did not act on may have been exactly the kind of early signal that, if reported, could have changed the outcome. A strange vehicle, an unfamiliar face appearing more than once. Something slightly off that you cannot name, but cannot quite ignore either. Report it. Make the call. Say something to someone. Because the difference between a feeling that gets ignored and a feeling that gets reported can, in cases like this one, be the difference that counts the most.
On behalf of our family, we want to thank all of you for the prayers for our beloved mom, Nancy. We feel them, and we continue to believe that she feels them too. Our mom is a kind, faithful, loyal, fiercely loving woman of goodness and light. She's funny and spunky and clever. She has grandchildren that adore her and crowd around her and cover her with kisses. She loves fun and adventure. She is a devoted friend. She is full of kindness and knowledge. Talk to her and you'll see.
The light is missing from our lives. Nancy is our mother. We are her children. She is our beacon. She holds fast to joy in all of life's circumstances. She chooses joy day after day. Despite having already passed through great trials of pain and grief, we are always going to be merely human.
Nancy Guthrie's case is not closed, and our coverage of cases like this one is not finished either. If you want analysis that goes past the headline, cases where the investigation is treated seriously, where the evidence is examined carefully, where the people involved are more than just names in a story, this channel is where you want to be. We upload every week new cases, full breakdowns, the details that most coverage leaves out. Subscribe now, hit the bell, and you will be notified every time we go live with a new video. Thank you for watching. We will see you in the next one.